Where Minister for Agriculture, Murray Watt, is speaking following the first face-to-face agriculture ministers meeting in over 3 years.
For a long time. Basically what traceability is about is electronic systems to monitor the movements of animals within the production system, from farms to transport to abattoirs, all the way through. And the reason that making those sort of traceability improvements happen is that it does allow us to track where those animals have been, what the provenance of food is. We know that consumers in international markets want to know more than ever before about where their food has come from and the circumstances in which that food has been produced. Traceability allows that to happen. It's also important if we do see a major biosecurity outbreak, and of course we've been threatened by many of them just in the last 12 months. And what it means is that if a biosecurity outbreak were to occur, we could work out where animals have been and which other animals they may have infected, and allows for a much quicker response to a biosecurity outbreak. So I think it's really good news for our farmers and our producers and Australia's agriculture sector that these ministers behind me have come to an agreement to launch that first ever national traceability strategy. The second document, which I'm very proud that we're able to release today, is Australia's first ever national statement on climate change and agriculture. Now, farmers are at the coalface when it comes to climate change. We've seen the extreme weather that has happened to pretty much every state around the country just in the last couple of years. And farmers, more often than not, bear the brunt of that extreme weather. And we know that, unfortunately, due to climate change, that's going to get worse, not better. And we've needed for a very long time to have a harmonised approach between different levels of government to deal with this challenge that our agriculture sector faces. Now, we've obviously emerged from 10 years of denial of climate change at the federal government level, and I'm really proud of the fact that our government has been able to work cooperatively with all the states and territories, regardless of their political persuasions, to come together with this first ever national statement. And what it's saying is that governments are prepared to lead. We know that farmers face risks when it comes to climate change, but there's also massive opportunities for our sector to continue to build on the good work they've already been doing, to become more climate resilient, to demonstrate their sustainability standards to consumers and to international markets. And what that means is that farmers have the opportunity to be even more profitable and more productive if they've got governments working with them. And at last, in this country, we have a set of governments that's prepared to work with the sector to continue to build on that good work. The two other things that I did want to mention, and of course we're happy to take any questions about any of these issues, is that after several years' work by different levels of government and intense consultation with industry and consumers, we've agreed today to endorse new animal welfare standards for the poultry industry in Australia. Now, the implementation of this will be left to individual states and territories to determine the exact time frame, the exact circumstances in which they implement these standards. But again, for the first time, after several years of work, we've been able to have a national agreement about these new animal welfare standards. And that's not just good for poultry, it's good for poultry farmers, it's good for consumers, because we know that the market is already shifting, with most of the retailers and most big manufacturing companies that use eggs already moving towards more humane methods of raising hens and getting the types of eggs that they need. So the market is moving, and here we've got today governments actually catching up. The final thing that I wanted to mention, because I know there's a lot of interest in it, is red imported fire ants. Now, as a Queenslander, and I know Mark Fern is in the same boat as a Queenslander, this is a very real threat in southeast Queensland at the moment. And thanks to the good work of the Queensland government, supported by all state, territory and federal governments, the growth of the red fire ant population has been at least controlled and hasn't spread as far as it otherwise would.